Welcome back, Sentinels. Welcome back. Another episode of Black Father Sentinel, where we are changing the narrative of how fathers are depicted as well as discussed in today's society. Per usual, back with another video for you all. But before we jump into it, we know what we have to do. Let's make sure we hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And make sure you hit that share button so we can continue to push this narrative out there. And if you haven't hit the notification button so you can know what the latest video is, make sure you hit that notification button as well. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. This one I have entitled Fathers. This is specifically to us. The question on the table is, why do you want to be in your child's life? As I thought about that question, nobody ever asked me that before, and that question may have not ever been posed to you, but it's on the table today, right? So I need you to leave a comment. I'll tell you a few reasons why I want to be actively involved in my children's life. And this is not us talking to the females that's in our life. This is us just putting it all out in the table, right? I know I'm asking you to be vulnerable right now, but just, walk with me. I'm going to be just as vulnerable as you are, okay? So for me, growing up, first and foremost, if you don't know my backstory, I grew up without a father. I mean, not just in the typical sense, meaning that he's not there. Like I've never saw him. I don't know what I walk like, talk like. I don't know, any characteristics that I have of his. I don't know any physical characteristics, emotional characteristics, nothing. I never seen him. I've talked to him on the phone literally one time. And if you don't know the story, you can take a look at one of the previous videos, and I explained everything to you, right? But I just think like growing up without a father, it was hard for me. But it was like I didn't know how hard it was until I actually looked back in hindsight, right? Because as you're going through it, it's just the norm. Like I'm growing up without a father. So like I don't know what a father is supposed to do. I don't know, how a father is supposed to be involved in my life. I just know I don't have one. And you can't miss something that you never had, right? And so as I'm growing up, I'm probably making mistakes that I wouldn't quite naturally make if I had a father. I'm probably doing things that I wouldn't quite naturally do, getting addicted to certain things that I probably wouldn't get addicted to if I had my father in my life, right? And just making, decisions. I wouldn't necessarily call them bad decisions, but just making decisions um, ill-advised, right? And for me growing up, it wasn't so much that I needed a father to tell me what not to do. I needed somebody in my life to tell me what to do, right? So remember, the question on the table is, why do you want to be in your children's life? So that's just a little backdrop of, how I grew up. But for me, it's three things of why I want to be in my children's life. Well, these are the main things I would say. There's definitely more than three. So the first one is for my boys' sake. I want them to understand their importance, right? If they ever had children, I want them to understand the importance of them being in their children's life, right? I know I have this platform, right? And I know we're changing the narrative of how fathers are depicted, but we all know that we're still fighting the uphill battle, right? I'm not saying that this is going to be something that's not going to eventually change, but in my lifetime, I just think that we're shooting for the stars on this one. So if I can pass this legacy down to my boys, to ensure that they continue the message, but I think we'll be able to get this, to where society see that we are important. Like we put so much value on women, and rightfully so. I get it. They carried the baby for the 9 months. Most of the time, children tend to lean towards their mother. I get the whole thing, but I think we take the importance out of being a father. Like it doesn't make sense in my mind. I still can't grasp it. Why any woman, right, or any man on the flip side, why he think that a mom shouldn't be in the life, but specifically on the dad's case, like I just don't understand why you would think that a dad is not of value. Like I always tell you all before, like we offer certain things that just a mom can't. And that's just putting it out there, frankly. We offer that order, that structure, and that discipline. I'm not saying women, you can't do that, but that's not quite naturally your role. I get it. And some of you women, you hate that role word. I understand it. But if I'm just speaking in a logical sense, because that's how I think as a man, you're just like, you're not equipped to do it. And if you do it, it's not going to be the same, right? We need to be there stepping in as fathers to offer that order, that structure, and the discipline. But we also have to have those same type of characteristics ourselves. So we need to have that order, that structure, and that discipline. All right. So that's the main focal point for me, especially as it relates to my boys. I want them to understand the importance of them being an active father in their children's life. And with my daughters, like I want them to like understand a man, to be honest with you, right? Now we can look at this whole thing in a broader picture. And if we're being frank with ourselves, a lot of women don't understand what a man wants. I know y'all had that Steve Harvey movie. That is not the case with majority of us, but they just don't understand our feelings, right? They don't understand like what we need in order for us to be our optimum. And I'm not saying that we don't intrinsically do that on our own, but if we were made here to be counterparts, there's something that you have to bring to the table in order for me to be at my best. And so if it's for me to bring in that protection aspect, that financial aspect, that provider aspect, then you have to bring something to the table as well. And I watched this on a show before. They asked women, "What does a man want?" And I guarantee you, 100% of the time, they got it all wrong. Like y'all don't know who we are at all, and that's not to point fingers, point blame, or put you all down in any type of capacity or fashion. So for me, the importance of being a father in my daughter's life is to teach her what a man wants. And it's literally that simple. Like I want her to understand because she's going to eventually get into a relationship. And I don't want this to be a generational curse where she just continues to go in and out of relationships. She loses her value every time that she does that. So that's huge for me. Another reason why is just I want to offer that balance, right? And so I know some of us fathers out here are letting these women raise kids on our own. I was watching, I think it was either a TikTok video or an Instagram video, and there was a guy, it was an OG, he was in jail, and he was walking with another older gentleman. He said, "Do you know why these guys are in here?" And then, of course, the dude responded. He said, "Murder, um, rape, whatever the case may be, stealing, theft, whatever." So this is one of those maximum security type of jails. And the older guy responded, he said, "No, a lot of these men are in here because they couldn't control their emotions, right?" Now, we all know that women are more emotional based. And again, women, this is not a put down. This is just like facts. This is just what it is. And so if you have, or if you are raising a young male child and all he sees is that emotional side of you and not understanding how to put that in perspective or put thought before emotion, like I explained to my children, then that's going to make him unbalanced. He's not going to be balanced. Now, it's okay for our daughters to kind of lean towards that emotional state, but they should still have balance as well. And that's where the father comes in. And so, long story short, in regard to that conversation that those two gentlemen had, he was basically just telling these guys are in here because they couldn't control their emotions. And as I thought about that, I'm like, man, that's deep. Because had they had, and I'm not saying this is 100% correct, but I think it would have changed the dynamics a little bit. Had they had their father in their life, and he was one of those individuals who put thought before emotion, that could have changed the whole trajectory of their life. They could have possibly wound up not in jail, right? Because they understood how to have civil discourse with another gentleman or civil discourse with a female. So that's another thing, just offering balance. And then lastly, like for me, this one is personal. I've never shared this one before. But me being active in my children's life, it completes me. Like it's my motivational factor. It's my why. It's the reason that I keep going. And you heard the backstory from me in terms of growing up without a father. Like I'll be honest with you all. I didn't know how much it hurted until like now. I'm being honest with you. And I was able to deal with that. And I'll drop a video on how I dealt with that. But fathers, if you're going through that, you need to release it. That's for sure. You have to let that go. And if there's any fathers out there that's going through possibly abandonment issues that they had with their mother, you need to let that go as well. So I'll definitely do a video in which we talk about different ways that you can, release those past traumas that you've been through. Because we all been through something. And that's just being honest with you. We all been through something. It's just how we choose about moving forward in our life. And we can't blame our parents because a lot of times it was just passed down to them and then passed down to us. So who's going to break it? Like me, I stand up for that. I want to break these generational curses. Sometimes we can't always be in the house. It's just you just don't agree with that other the counterpart. You don't agree with the female doesn't agree with you. I get that. But fathers, we can't go about it in terms of like, okay, if we're not with them, we can't take care of our kids. That can't be the case. So I'm curious to see, like, what's your why? Why do you want to be in your children's life? Like I told you, my backstory growing up without a father. I've also let you know, why it's important for me to be in my children's life in terms of me showing my sons the importance of being a father, as well as teaching my daughters how to understand men, as well as the balance that we offer as fathers. And then lastly, for me, it completes me. It's my motivation. It's my why. Like everything I do is catered around them, so I can leave a legacy for them, so I can get them off to a jump start in life, as opposed to them starting off life like everybody else did. Right? You're pretty much in debt. Now you're trying to find this job. Now you're trying to, you're just doing it the wrong way. So what's your reason why, fathers? Why do you want to be in your child's life? I know this is one of those things that we shouldn't have to discuss. You shouldn't have to beg and plead, right? But just tell me why. And sometimes this is just therapeutic. You just want to get it off your chest. So thanks for taking the time to listen to this video. Fathers, continue to do what you do best, and that is being a great father. Black Father Syndrome.